Hello everyone, the Dirtpog here, and today we're going to be doing another reaction video. We're going to be reacting to Control City Freaks US 19 Northbound video, as I actually covered US 19 a couple of years ago, and want to see the things that I might have missed in my 19 Northbound video, and also point out some things that Todd might have missed in his 19 Northbound video. Plus, I've been on US Highway 19 in different parts of the route and want to share my own experiences as on this highway. So let's get started with this reaction video.
US 19. Yeah. All right, we are taking a look at all of the great US 19 in today's Supercut. US 19 Downtown Ignorer. I ignored the New River Gorge Bridge in the original video, so we're putting that right here on the thumbnail, and we'll be talking about that because we got a request for it. Chiefs are playing the Bucks in preseason football, so hey, why not a US 19 Supercut? Let's take a look at the route. We see US 19 starts out in Bradenton, Florida, and makes its way all the way up to Erie, Pennsylvania. So it goes roughly water to water through a lot of Appalachians, and it's a very interesting route. We're talking about the whole thing today, northbound. This kind of scrap. Here we are on US 301, and US 301 and US 41 are going to be going straight, and we are going to be berthing US 19. Did an episode about 301, you can check out right over there. US 19
check out my versions down in the description below.
From the jump. We are with US 41 for the first, though not last time, and we will leave our concurrency with that. And we are now signed North 19 to North 275 for the Sunshine Skyway Bridge and St. Petersburg. An independent US 19 before.
So I showed this in my 19 northbound video, and at first I was kind of iffy about it because, yeah, it's pretty cool to see Perry being signed from almost 220 miles away. But then again, Perry is not as big as like places as Clearwater or St. Pete, so it wouldn't make any sense to sign it from this far away. But then again, going southbound on US 19 up near Perry, they do reciprocate and actually sign St. Petersburg from 230 miles away and keep it up all the way up until like Central Florida. So I guess it's a pretty cool mileage line to see here.
We get to the Sunshine Skyway, we get a great sign here, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, and Perry. Perry 214, and those are kind of the main controls in Florida. We do get notification this is our last option to leave before we have to pay the Sunshine Skyway toll. And now we are joining up with Interstate 275. Did a video on that too, but I'm not going to put a link there here. Here's what it looks like as we cross the Sunshine Skyway. We've seen this before on the 275 video. And once we are on the Pinellas County side of things, we have a split from 275. 275 now signed for Tampa, even though we've not reached downtown St. Pete yet. 19 is signed for Pinellas Bayway and St. Pete Beach, and we will be going to neither of those places. Those are both for 682. Coming further off the ramp, we now just get 19 north straight ahead. We're now on 34th Street in St. Petersburg. Here is a Taco Bell that I frequented, probably my third most visited Taco Bell, I'd say. And right here, 46th Avenue South, my dad used to live right around here, so that's why I've been to that Taco Bell so many times. Not sure if I've ever been at that McDonald's or Burger King, though. A little further up, we've got Skyway Jack's, a famous greasy spoon in this area. If you're around there, check it out. Try the eggs. And I also want to point out good old Salem's, pretty good Euro spot in St. Petersburg. This is a look down 1st Avenue South. We can see downtown St. Petersburg there, but we will not pass through it or anywhere near it, which will become a theme for US 19. Right here is Central, and that is the main bus depot in St. Petersburg. Pretty much anytime you ever want to take a bus in St. Petersburg, you'll be transferring right at 34th and Central. Now at 5th Avenue North, we are spawning North Alt 19. We're not going to be following that, although I have taken that way before. Pass right by the Sam's Club. It's probably the Sam's Club that I've been to the most.
I prefer Costco over Sam's Club
all that much. Right here on 22nd Avenue North, just off 34th Street. This is not quite on 19. We pass the Mazzaro Italian Market, and if you're in St. Petersburg, that is a good place to check out. Totally recommend that too. We're leaving St. Pete. We're now in Pinellas Park, which I think would have been our next control city. We're meeting Gandy Boulevard, which is Florida 694, which will head over to 275. We'll also head to US 92 and the Gandy Bridge. And now we're meeting County 296 to 275. This is a frontage road exit, semi-freeway thing going on US 19 in mid-northern Pinellas County. And from US 19 frontage road, we can see Bryan Dairy Road is the next signal, and this is also the interchange to get to the Gateway Freeway. This interchange was requested by Edwin Paskey because he never lived more than 25 miles away from US 19, very important road in his life, as he was born in Erie, PA, and now he's down toward the southern end of US 19. Thank you for that request. Great way to kick things off here. From the Gateway Expressway perspective,
They're like showing all these signs. I actually showed mileage signs along US 19 in this area to see where our next major control city would be. So I guess this is a alternative way to show what our next control city would be.
BC 219 North Clearwater. So Clearwater becomes our next control city, and that is a good choice. Right up here, we pass by Ulmerton Road. We have this little slip ramp onto the frontage road for an interchange. This is, I don't know, like my least favorite part
Texas
of Pinellas
style.
County, this Ulmerton Road area. Just nothing but ugly hanging stoplights on wires across super wide roads and business parks and warehouses, and yeah, it's awful. Right here we meet Florida 60, a major highway across the midsection of Florida.
In my 19 northbound video, I accidentally called Florida Highway 60 US 60. Whoops. I also shouted out Drew Street because of my buddy Drew.
And it is Gulf to Bay Road in these parts because it goes from the Gulf of Mexico to Tampa Bay. This is the Clearwater area, so from 60, we're seeing 19 is south for Pinellas Park and St. Petersburg. We are now signed north for Tarpon Springs as our new control city. Here we're meeting another freeway-type state highway, which is 580, signed for Dunedin and Oldsmar, which is northern
on
Tampa
Florida
Bay.
581.
We don't quite go through downtown Tarpon Springs either. This is Tarpon Boulevard, and downtown is to the left. Here's where we meet the northern end of Alt 19. The first time I was out on this road, we were driving.
In my 19 southbound video, I actually covered US 19 alternate here within the Tampa St. Petersburg area. So if you want to check out that, it's down in the description below.
In the Crystal River when I got certified for scuba diving. This is where we met 19 proper back. North of Tarpon Springs, our next control city is going to be Newport Richey, and this is at Florida Highway 54. North of Newport Richey, it is going to be Hudson. I'd probably skip that one. We're just a bit north in Spring Hill, Florida, and this is US 19 and Spring Hill Drive. This was requested by Jeffrey Moody because he wanted to see this fountain that they have here. He says kind of 80s style fountain. So thank you for that request. This was requested by Zach AJ77. He requested it because he grew up in Spring Hill, and this giant dino was built by a taxidermist in the 60s to promote his roadside museum. Why a dinosaur? Nobody knows. So thank you so much for that request. That's a fun roadside attraction. On our drive up to Crystal River, I remember seeing tons of branches of Dan's Fan City as we rolled down US 19, and there's one that still exists, so gotta show that. We're finally getting a proper mileage sign here, Homosassa Springs and Crystal River as our new control cities. Long concurrency, northbound US 98.
You can check out my US 98
This is
video
the
in the
way
top
to
right corner.
toll 589, which would take you back to Tampa
Or down in
near
the
the
description
airport.
below.
And the second time I was ever on US 19 north of here, where I took it all the way to I-10, I went through here. Crystal River is now 13 miles away, and we're getting a control city beyond that now. And here we are in Crystal River, where, again, yeah, I got certified in scuba diving here and Williston, and went snorkeling with the manatees, which was awesome. North of Crystal River, we are sticking with Inglis. Beyond that, we are now signed for Chiefland. Oh, Chiefland. Okay, all right, go Chiefs. I'm down with that. We can see we are still signed with US 98. We're now meeting Alt US 27, and we are going to be signed with Alt 27 along with US 98 headed north from here. In Chiefland, we see Fanning Springs is going to be our next control city. And in Chiefland, we also meet North US 129. Here we are in Fanning Springs, and we are crossing the historic Suwannee River, entering Dixie County. So we're far enough north in Florida to be in Dixie now. They've been going pretty piecemeal here, but we're finally getting Perry as our next control city. And 19 in these parts is kind of known as the road to Perry, so I think it's over.
There was a mileage sign with Perry on the bottom line from 104 miles away in English that he forgot to show.
We're due to have Perry on there. Last time we saw Perry was 200 some miles away. And here we are in Perry. We're meeting US 221. I've only been to Perry once when I was driving from Florida to Kansas by way of US 19 231, a kind of a weird route. And in Perry, I actually picked up a hitchhiker. He wanted to go like 2 miles down the road. So, why not? In Perry, we finally separate from US 98, and wow, it's westbound US 98. Wow, amazing. Finally signing it the way it should be signed. We're also meeting southbound US 27, and we will become concurrent with that. And as we see, we are northbound 221 at 27.
This is actually an error. US 221 is not concurrent with US 2719 here, so I have no idea why FDOT is signing it.
7 and 19, and wow, that's a bad sign configuration. Those are all in the wrong order. From US 98 eastbound's point of view, we can see Tallahassee is our new control city coming out of Perry.
27.
We are going to be leaving 27 and 221. We are getting...
If Todd ever covers a US 20 or US 27, I'm gonna request Todd Avenue just north of Cincinnati. I bet he'll be very happy to see that. Also, there was a mileage sign that had Tallahassee on the bottom line and had Interstate 10 Junction on the top line, and then a town for 19 here as the secondary.
Sign for 2I-10 and Monticello or Monticello. And now we're getting Monticello, and Thomasville as our new control cities. Here is where we meet the mighty I-10, which came in first place for the worst highway in America in my recent video about that. You can check that out right over here. And here is downtown. I suppose it is Monticello because this is Jefferson Street, so we're going to be doing a Jefferson sort of thing. Nice roundabout courthouse kind of thing here. Right here we're going to be meeting US 90, which I did a video about, but I don't have a link to throw in there. You can find that on your own.
I'm going to do 90
Coming out of
someday.
Monticello, we're just getting only Thomasville, 21 miles away, and Thomasville is in Georgia. And welcome to Georgia. We hit our second state. In Georgia, we're still getting Thomasville, 14 miles away. In Thomasville, we are meeting US 84, which for some reason eastbound is signed State Highway 84.
I did not catch this error of going northbound, but I did catch an error going southbound on US 19 for US 84, so I guess it kind of makes up there. But yeah, I don't know why Georgia loves to make these state highway errors, like, it's all over the state.
This 84 feels a lot more at home in southern Georgia than it did last time we ran into it in Colorado. And still in Thomasville, we see we are signed for Albany as our next control city, and that's a good choice. Albany is a bottom line here, and it is 57 miles away. We're meeting US 82 in Albany, and it is signed for Atlanta. Wow. Nice swing.
Cordell.
Along with westbound 82, we are a freeway going around Albany here, and we are going to be exiting from that. We are getting Slappy Boulevard and Atlanta. Slappy Boulevard was requested by El Jefe because he found out it was a street name for some prominent family in the area, but thinks it's a pretty funny name anyway. Yeah, Slappy. Why not? Yeah.
So he doesn't show it, but there is actually a mileage sign, like, I think a little bit after this junction where we leave US 82, that does have Atlanta on the bottom line from 168 miles away, which is pretty cool to see.
Thank you for that request. Not too far north of Albany, we are getting the Jimmy Carter National Historic Site, 33 miles away. Americus and Ellaville are our new control cities now. This basically is Americus, although we are getting a sign for it. We are just in the southern end of it. We're meeting US 280, and 280 signed for Plains, so that would be your Jimmy Carter places. A brief concurrency with 280. Eastbound 280 splits off, and we continue straight. And we've got all these extraneous state highways in Georgia. They always do this. You can't have a US highway by itself. It's always got to have a state highway number 2. Our new bottom line control city becomes Buena Vista at this point, 27.
Welcome, Todd. Yep, that's what GDOT loves to do. They love to favor their state highways. Buena Vista is actually on Georgia 26, not US 19.
7 miles away. Buena Vista is not even a place that US 19's going, though. I don't know why it was on the sign. We are continuing straight for Butler. In Butler, Thomaston is now our new control city. We're meeting US 80, and we don't get ourselves on the sign here at US 19, but US 19 is going to be going straight. So we will be concurrent with eastbound US 80. 80 leaves, signed for Macon, and we are signed for Thomaston still.
Check out.
We're in Thomaston, and this is pretty weird. So we have this sign right to the right of us saying we are signed for Griffin, but then on the stoplight just ahead, it says US 19 north for Zebulon and Atlanta. And all three can be true. It's just kind of weird that we have two different signs for different places so close to one another. South of Griffin, we are going to spawn.
Oh, I forgot to point out that there was another mileage sign that after 80 left, Atlanta just cut back on the bottom line from, I think, like 70 miles away or somewhere close to that.
An alt north 75, and that'll head into downtown Griffin. We are turning left. Our control city now is 2 I-75, and we are meeting US 41 once again, meaning Georgia 16 for Griffin and Newman, and also for 275 and 285. Once we make it up to Hampton, Georgia, we are finally signed for Atlanta. We've been kind of in Atlanta exurbs or so in this area for a while. And this is Lovejoy, Georgia, which I feel like we probably should be signed for first because it's a somewhat large suburb along the way and it's easier to get to the freeway to get to Atlanta at this point anyway. Right here, North 19, North 41, and of course, North Georgia 3 are going to be exiting, and this road we're on is going to merge straight into I-75. From I-75's perspective, US 19 and 41 are signed just Old Dixie Highway. Next, we're going to be meeting I-285, and this means we are really entering the Atlanta area now. From 285's perspective, US 19 and 41 are signed for Hapeville, which is a suburb near the airport. We meet 75 shortly thereafter. Once again, we have a few intersections with that. And in Hapeville, US 19 and 41 turn right at this random stop sign. We don't get told anywhere, but that shadow in the road is roughly the Atlanta city limit line. And we meet an interchange for 85 and the Gold Rush
It's an
Showbar.
incomplete
Maybe
one,
that
though.
tells us we're in Atlanta now, too. We pass right by.
We also go under Interstate 20, but he didn't show that. But there is a indirect exit for US 19 on Interstate 20, but also has US 29 co-sign, so yeah, it's just pretty weird. Also, I do not like Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I am still salty about what happened in 2023 there. Like, come on.
The new Georgia Dome, although we're talking baseball this time, we don't get near the new what we saw before in the US 41 video where we were meeting US 29, US 78, US 278, all not quite downtown, but just this big mess of US highways down here. US 78 and 278 are going to leave and turn left. Again, don't know why we need both. And at 14th Street, we are going to turn right, and we finally lose US 41. 41 will go straight. 14th Street, we go through this pretty built-up area of Atlanta, but this is not downtown. We are north of downtown right here. And we're going to be turning left onto Peachtree Boulevard, the most famous street in Atlanta. On Peachtree, we have an interchange for I-85 coming up, and
I actually have a picture of this exit on the downtown connector, so let's go. Also, I have a picture of Peachtree Street Bridge being lit up at night as well.
we are signed for Buckhead, a well-known, famous neighborhood of Atlanta. Here is Buckhead, and in Buckhead, we are still signed with Georgia Highway 9. This is also where we leave Peachtree. Peachtree follows Georgia Highway 141. On Roswell Road here, we meet 285 once again, and we are going to be sort of joining with 285. We want to merge onto eastbound 285. Although we don't really ever join eastbound 285, we actually are headed north for US 19 and 400, their own road, signed for Atlanta and Cumming. And just like I-83 with 695, we don't ever actually mix with 285. We are now signed north US 19 and 400 for Cumming, and they treat 400 like the main road here, which is kind of interesting. On the way to Cumming, we go through Alpharetta, And I have no idea why Cumming would be our control city over Alpharetta. Alpharetta is bigger, it's closer, and it's more famous than Cumming, so seems like the better control city for us. Meeting Georgia 20 for Buford and Cumming now. And from roads approaching us, it says Junction, Georgia 400. No mention.
Another perk of GDOT. Like I said earlier, they love favoring their state highways for some reason instead of favoring the U.S. highway or interstate that is concurrent with the state highway.
US 19. Again, Georgia 400 they treat as the bigger thing over here, even though it's only a state highway. Dahlonega becomes our new control city, and I hope I'm saying that somewhat right.
Correct way.
And right here when we meet Georgia 53, we're getting North 400 Dahlonega. No mention of US 19 at all, even on a mainline pull-through. That's so weird. Just a state highway, no US 19. We go all the way to Pennsylvania, we're a big road. And right here, I guess 400 ends. They don't tell us. All of a sudden, 19 signs are back and 400 signs are gone. Weird. And we're still signed for Dahlonega. In Dahlonega, we stick with Georgia 60, and we're going to be turning right here. And we are signed for Etowah and Meadery. But really, Blairsville is our real control city coming out of there. So now our new proper control, Blairsville. And right here's where we start to get into the Appalachian area, which we will be in, like, beyond Pittsburgh for almost the rest of this road. And it's going to be really beautiful through a lot of it. We're getting toward Blairsville, and we're meeting the junction for Helen, Georgia. So
one thing that he does not point out, this is actually where we join up with US 129. I'm going to have a long concurrency with it up until just north of Murphy, North Carolina. So, yeah.
This is real northeast Georgia here. We go through some pretty big curves in this section as well. Looks quite beautiful. You don't think of Georgia as looking like this, but pretty nice looking here. Here is Blairsville, and we are going to be turning right, and we will be signed for Murphy, North.
So, that previous mileage sign with Suches and Blairsville on it, I think Murphy should actually be signed from just outside Dahlonega, because it is one of the bigger places that 19 and 129 pass through. And plus, from Murphy, they actually sign Atlanta as a primary from like 130 miles away. So why can't GDOT reciprocate and sign Murphy from maybe one of like the far northern Atlanta suburbs, please?
Carolina at this point. We're out of Georgia cities. And lo and behold, welcome to North Carolina. And North Carolina, whoa, goes way against the meme to start with. We're meeting US 64 and US 74, and we are getting Chattanooga and Asheville.
Western North Carolina has that
nice.
W.
Also meeting US 129. Here's one of the ways into Murphy, and 64 is going to be leaving us.
64, you should be Franklin. I do not like Hayesville. Hayesville has a population of like 300 something people.
For Hayesville, 74, 129, and US 19 are going to be turning right, and we will be signed for Andrews now. We don't go into Andrews proper, we avoid another downtown, but Business 19 will head into proper Andrews. And yeah, beautiful scenery out here. Lovely, lovely Appalachian views. And
I've been on US 19 within this region of North Carolina. Well, actually up towards like Maggie Valley and Waynesville. But yeah, it's definitely a very pretty and beautiful road in this portion of North Carolina.
Got kind of a nice setup 4-lane road here. We're losing US 129, and we are together with 74, and Bryson City is
US
our
129
new
is a road
straight
that I
ahead
like
on
to
that
do
sign
someday.
I can't quite read. And tremendous views on 74, 19 as
I'm
we
more of the
go down to a
southeast guy.
narrow 2-lane road here through the mountains. We've now built back up into a freeway kind of thing, and US.
So, I pointed this out in my 19 video and I believe my US 74 video, but he's actually covering up a mileage sign that's on the left side of the road with Asheville on the bottom line for 66 miles away. But that's more for US 74, so I kind of get why he's not showing it, but you can see that 19 is getting signed for the two places on a mileage sign that he didn't show with Bryson and Cherokee as the two places. Like,
US 19 is going to be exiting from US 74 to become its own thing, headed for Bryson City. In Bryson City, we're going to be turning to head toward Cherokee and meeting southbound 441 signed for Dillsboro, Franklin, and Atlanta. Northbound 441 will be joining us. And we see just ahead that Business 441 and northbound US 19 are signed for Maggie Valley and Waynesville. And the real 441 will be turning left just ahead of here. In Maggie Valley, we pass by Joey's Pancake House. This was requested by the Derpog because he visited there when he went to the Waynesville area last year and had some amazing chocolate chip pancakes. So thank you for that request.
So yeah, I also managed to get my own t-shirt and a magnet from that place. If you're ever in that area, I do definitely recommend it. Though they are only open for breakfast and lunch, so you do have to go pretty early in the day to get a spot at the restaurant, because they are pretty busy.
Just out of Maggie Valley, we're meeting US 276, and we will be concurrent with US 276.
I also have a picture of this junction with US Highway 276, and plus I did my own video on US Highway 276, which you can check out in the description below.
76 now. We see now the Blue Ridge Parkway is straight ahead as we are concurrent with 276, and this is in Soco Gap, North Carolina. This was requested by Matt. 19 is still exhilarating in this area anyway. So thank you for that request. It does look like a fantastic road around here. Here is the actual
So I do need to point out something. The Blue Ridge Parkway interchange with US Highway 19 is actually south of Maggie Valley. It's not on the concurrency with US 276, because that concurrency is just a couple miles long. But it is pretty cool that he is still showing the Blue Ridge Parkway, because it is a very pretty road. I've been on it. Actually from US 23/74 up until one of the mountains, so I definitely recommend driving it if you're ever in that area.
To get onto the parkway is limited access for ease of driving, so there's no stoplights on it, just like the Natchez Trace. Interesting looking road. Right here is where we split from 276, so we will be independent for a little bit more, and we are now signed for Asheville.
I have a picture of this junction too, so that is pretty cool. Also, it is pretty interesting to end at for like a part 1 video. I would think that people would end at the split with 19E and W, but it is his video.
Though, will we quite make it there? Waynesville is to the right. Now we are rejoining US 74, which is now a freeway, and we're also joining US 23. Did an episode on US 23, you can check that out right over there. We are going to leave US 74, which is signed.
I also have a picture of this exit too, which I did show in my 74 video.
For Asheville and Knoxville, because it's heading toward I-40, and we will be signed with US 23 for Clyde and Canton. Continuing on, we're meeting 74, and we're joining with 74A. All these weird suffixed routes in these parts. 74A, I guess, isn't too bad. From I-40's perspective, it is 19 and 23 for West Asheville and Enka Candler. So we already passed through Enka and Candler. West Asheville becomes our new control city. We're going to be reaching 240 soon, and we see West 240, 226, and 40, Westgate that way. We are signed for eastbound. And here's another one of those Nexus of the Universe spots. Been here a lot of times, this Future 26 sign. We are going to be joining with Future 26 and US 23 and West.
If you ever do US Highway 70, you're going to be coming back to this interchange, Todd. Though it'll be from a different angle instead of coming from this respective angle.
70, signed for UNC Asheville and Weaverville. Here is the exit for Weaverville, and straight ahead is going to be Marshall. We're going to be leaving with 23A, because why not? And we're signed for Burnsville and Spruce Pine. 19W, which we will largely ignore, will come right back here to I-26, so I'm not entirely sure why all of 19 is exiting right here. In fact, here is where we have our split with 19W and 19E.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, why do these split routes exist? Like, sure, you can argue in defense for US 11, 25, and 31, because those are all, like, historically significant. But, like, the other ones here, like 19, 49, and 45, and 6, and 70, and US 9, like, why do those exist? Like, what's the point of those highways?
As I said, 19W will just go back to I-26, so we're gonna not acknowledge 19W. I don't understand all these split routes in this part of the country. Pick one to make the main one, make the other one A, whatever. So 19A is the independent one, so that's what we'll follow. Here we are in Burnsville, which is what we were signed for, and we will now be signed for Spruce Pine. In the Spruce Pine area, Spruce Pine downtown is signed to the left of us. We are signed straight ahead for nothing. And the next thing I could find that we would be signed for is Cranberry.
That's an unincorporated community.
It won't be the last time we're signed for a Cranberry. In Cranberry, we're going to be turning left, and we are signed for Rowan Mountain. And welcome to Tennessee. Tennessean is 10 and believin'. We knew Tennessee was just around the corner. We have this silly EW split. In Rowan Mountain, we're going to be signed for Elizabethton. And we're going to be meeting US 321, but we will continue straight. Our short concurrency with US 321 ends in Elizabethton. Here is where we have the sign for that and for Johnson City. And this was requested by C for Cat because he's from Johnson City and in fact wrote a song about it. Cool. Thank you for that request.
I'm going to be doing
we get a sign here for South 19W. We're getting on 19 proper. We are rejoining. But we're on 11E, so we got another split one over here. We're now in Bristol, Tennessee, and we're meeting 421, and we will become concurrent with northbound 421, along with 11E and 19. We're not in Tennessee for long. Welcome to Virginia, and we enter the Twin City of Bristol. Interestingly, in Virginia, we come and go on Twin Cities. Here is where 11W is going to end. They will merge back together. We're going to split from 421 and continue north with 11 proper. Meeting I-81 in the Bristol area, and we are going to become concurrent with westbound 58. We're right next to I-81 for a while, and I-81 has our sign for us here. 11 and 19, the Lee Highway. No reason to name things for traitors. We're now in Abingdon, Virginia, and we are going to split from US 11. We're going to head right through the hills, and we will be signed for Bluefield. Meeting West Alternate 58, and we will continue straight. We're in Hansonville, Virginia right now. We are getting a mileage sign for Lebanon, Tazewell, and Bluefield. Bluefield our bottom line for 66 miles away. And this was requested by Redhead because Redhead lives less than a mile away from this sign.
That's pretty cool.
So thank you for that request. We're now meeting US 460, and we will become current with that. So we're really in the mountains now. We're getting a freeway kind of thing during our concurrency with 460. Looks pretty.
So I believe after that junction with US 460, we're in like one of these other towns, but there's a mileage sign with Roanoke being signed from like a very far distance of like 160 miles away. Virginia likes to do that. They're kind of like the Florida of the Mid-Atlantic region. They like signing like huge cities or like certain cities from a huge distance.
Pretty nice. 460 is going to go straight, and we are going to exit for Bluefield right here. And here is Bluefield, Virginia. Looks like it's seen better days for sure. And as promised, we are entering another Twin City. We hit both Bristols, now we get both Bluefields as we enter West Virginia. We're meeting US 52, the great US 52, and we will become concurrent with US 52 for a short time. We're still in Bluefield, and we will lose South 52 and be concurrent with Truck South 52. We're going to be signed for Princeton as we turn left here. And who are we meeting up ahead? We're meeting 460 once again. So 460 will join us, and 52 will join westbound 460. We're leaving 460 once again, and Princeton is for us as we turn left. Here is Princeton. We've got a tank in the middle of town, so that's kind of interesting. We're meeting West Virginia Route 10, and we are going to be signed for Beckley straight ahead. So that's a place we've heard of. We've got some serious curves in this part of West Virginia. They don't call it the Mountain State for nothing. I-77 will be meeting us, and
I have a picture of this exact exit on the West Virginia Turnpike. And plus, I tried getting a picture of US 19 going over the West Virginia Turnpike, but I think I accidentally got a picture of like a bridge for a rail line instead. So whoops.
US 19 is signed for Camp Creek, where we meet I-77. And we can see from the Camp Creek area, we're going to be very near I-77 for a while here. In fact, here is I-77 right next to us as we traverse the mountains. From I-77, we see Ghent and Flat Top will be our next control cities. And we go under a towering bridge of I-64. That's way above us. Pretty cool. Guess we don't have an interchange there. Oh wait, we do. We have
I
an
did not
indirect
point this out,
interchange for
though.
I-64, and US 19 is still signed for Beckley here. North of Beckley, US 19 is going to be turning right.
I've actually been on US Highway 19 in the Beckley area, and I have a couple of my own pictures of the interchange from the West Virginia Turnpike. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right to join its alternate self for its own freeway, and this was requested by Boss King Inc. because from this point to I-79 it acts as a major route primarily heading to Pittsburgh and Buffalo, and it's heavily used by Canadians to get from Toronto to the southeast US. So thank you for that request. We're signed for Summersville now. Before we get to Summersville, we get to Oak Hill and we get this laundry list of exits for
There's actually a mileage sign right after 19 leaves from the or have the exit for the turnpike with Fayetteville, West Virginia on the bottom line that I showed in my 19 northbound video.
Oak Hill. As promised, this is the New River Gorge Bridge in West Virginia, and this was requested by Dallas Bittinger because it's the newest national park, and he was there a few years ago on his way to Tennessee from Maryland.
I'd love to
So
go
thank
there
you for that
someday.
request. And I missed this one. This is a really awesome thing. I wish I would have included in the original episode, but I don't know everything, guys. I know what I know, but together we do know everything, so that's why I've got requests.
That's why
And I
we're
appreciate
doing this
everybody
video.
who calls me out on that and who makes this channel better. So thank you to everyone. We're meeting US 60, the great US 60, and we shall continue straight. Here is the turnoff into Summersville. We don't actually enter Summersville proper. Sutton will become our new control city. We're going to be joining with I-79, and we're signing with I-79 north for Clarksburg. And Sutton is something that we hit on I-79. Sutton is the next exit. That's what we were signed for Sutton for. Clarksburg 63. So they probably could have done better than Sutton in that other part. We're going to exit for Flatwoods off of I-79. And it looks like Weston will be our next control city. We're meeting back with I-79 once again. We're intersecting with that. And we continue straight through this lovely mountain road. We got a creek there next to us. Really nice looking. We were assigned for Weston and Rock Cave, and Weston is for us, so we will continue left for Weston. Here is Weston, and we are meeting US 33.
I recently did a video on US 33, and I would like to do a video on US 119 someday, because it is a very interesting road. Plus, I have a picture of US 119 all the way down in Charleston, West Virginia.
And US 119. 33 is another one of those weird ones that switches from north to south to east to west as a big diagonal. And we split from 33 and 119, and we are heading north from Weston. From the Jackson Mill access road, Clarksburg will become our next control city. And we see actually they're going to stick with Jackson's Mill, so rangy. And this is Clarksburg. We head into Clarksburg, and as we so often do, we don't go downtown Clarksburg. Clarksburg, we're meeting US 50, the great US 50. I promise I will do an episode on that one day. Very keen to do so. And coming out of there, Fairmont will become our new control city. In Fairmont, we're meeting US 250. And we split with South 250, and this is Fairmont. I guess we go sort of downtown in Fairmont, and looks pretty dead here. And we continue along this river coming out of Fairmont, and we're going to be getting to Morgantown, which would be our next control city. I couldn't find anything listing it. Maybe I missed it. This mall was requested by Dallas Bittinger because he wanted to see the Morgantown Mall. So thank you for that request.
Yeah, I've stayed in Morgantown before. It's a pretty cool city.
We're meeting I-79 once again, our good friend, signed south for Fairmont, badly, and north for Washington, PA, also badly. Really terrible control cities in Morgantown. In Morgantown, it looks like we're going to get not quite downtown. Downtown will be north 119, and 2 I-68 will be exiting from us here. And in Morgantown, we pass right by the West Virginia University basketball arena, and that was requested by Dallas Bittinger, so thank you for that request. Always a tough place to play for the Jayhawks. Monongahela River, in fact, we've crossed it twice now. We continue in the Morgantown area. We're near Martinsville, and West Virginia 7 will head toward there, but there's no sign telling us that. Now we're getting New Martinsville thrown on there. Not near Martinsville, sorry. New Martinsville is our ahead control city. And we enter Pennsylvania, our last state of this mighty road. Keep Pennsylvania beautiful. From I-79's perspective, US 19 is signed for Mount Morris. And Kirby will
What I don't get is Todd being so nonchalant about this direction sign here. Well, I pointed this out in my 19 northbound video. Kirby is just a bunch of random buildings in the middle of nowhere. It's like someone from PennDOT like just randomly blindfolded throw a dart at a map and just saying, yep, that's where we're gonna sign, instead of something like Waynesburg or, I don't know, Washington. Like, seriously, Kirby is not a best choice here. And I think he says it, but yeah, he just skips straight to Waynesburg because there is nothing in Kirby. Okay.
Skipped Kirby and went straight to Waynesburg because Kirby was pretty small. Waynesburg would have been the next control city because it's not too far away either. Coming out of Waynesburg from 221, we are signed for Washington. And all the way through to Washington, we are very close to I-79. In Washington, fine control city for US 19. And further up, we get northbound 79, turn left. Washington, PA, turn left, but Washington is also straight, so either way, you're going to get to Washington. In Washington, we're going to meet US 40, the great US 40. We split from US 40 here in Washington. Meeting I-70 and I-79, signed for New Stanton one of the ways, because that's where we meet the turnpike. No other reason, because New Stanton is not a big city. Wheeling and Pittsburgh the other way. Probably should be Columbus instead of Wheeling, too. From 70 and 79, US 19 is signed for Murtland Avenue, and it goes to Pittsburgh. There's no great option for a control city. Really, Pittsburgh's the next thing, and 79 will get you there faster, so I understand not signing anything. Boss King Inc. also wants to point out that it is a cool coincidence that exit 19 is US 19, that the number is one and the same. So thank you for that request. Yep. But right away, we are going to get a US 19 North Pittsburgh once we are on 19. We're in the south burbs of Pittsburgh in Bethel Park, PA, and Mark Sheeg requested the South Hills Village Mall because he says he used to work there.
I like going to malls.
And also it's one of those rare malls in which it's two separate suburbs based on which store you're talking about, as it's in Upper St. Clair as well as Bethel Park. So thank you for that request. We're getting another US 19 bypass, going straight, and we are gonna veer left. Right here is the Pittsburgh city limit, and from this point we are now bound for I-376. We're gonna be joining I-376 whether we want to or not. We're getting US 22, US 30, follow 376, and 376 to 279 Pittsburgh, keep left. But US 19, Uniontown West End, we veer right. We do join on to 376, which is now signed for Monroeville for reasons. North 19 West End is exiting almost as soon as it gets on. From a different angle, we're seeing North 19 and 51 West End Bridge and downtown. We aren't going downtown though, we're US 19. And in fact, it's PA 51 that's going to be going downtown. We are going to the West End Bridge and North Shore. We pass near downtown Pittsburgh, but we're certainly not in downtown Pittsburgh as we cross the Ohio River right here.
Cool.
And we see the stadiums and the skyline. I felt like that view didn't give us justice. That was like 2025, I think. And as always happens with Street View, if you go back 3 or 4 years before, it always looks better
someday.
Because their new one is kind of garbage. Rivers Casino once we have crossed the river, and this was requested by Sargon. And he said he went there a few times, and did I win big? Did he win big? No. And thank you for that request.
So
Looking at the
sorry,
signs
man.
on our bridge, we are getting North 19 for Ohio River Boulevard. And we see Truck North 19 goes downtown. We are heading for Ohio River Boulevard and Chateau Street. And here's Chateau Street cutting off, and we get Ohio River Boulevard. We're on that a short time, and then 19 is going to exit for Marshall Avenue and California Avenue. We cross over 279, but we are not going to have an interchange with it. And here is the turnoff for California Avenue as we continue straight. Get another option for getting to 279, and we can see here we're going to be signed for Westview is our next control city. Right here is where 19 bypass rejoins us, so we have a few 19 bypasses along the way. And now we're going to be signed just for 2 I-76 and 2 I-79. Right here, we're signed north for Cranberry, which is weird because this is Cranberry already. We're at the Cranberry interchange,
like
the
Zelian-Apple or
I-79. 76 will be here, which
Or
is the
other
turnpike.
town.
79 straight ahead because Breezewood situation. Jack Johnson also wanted me to mention the control cities on I-76 here at the Cranberry interchange. He thinks 76 should be signed for Cleveland and Harrisburg from 19's perspective, and I gotta say, I agree. Cleveland, much bigger draw than Youngstown. The main turnpike road, yeah, should be Pittsburgh, then Cleveland. Thank you for that request. After Cranberry, our next control city is going to be Zelienople. I hope I'm saying that right.
Zelienople.
We are in Zelienople, and we are signed for 79 and Pennsylvania 68. Meeting 422, and we're going to be signed for Mercer after that, so finally something a little more substantial. Right here, this is Pennsylvania 208 approaching us from the westbound direction. This was requested by Dorito Time because he wanted to see this sign for Volant, Pennsylvania. Thank you for that request. We're meeting I-80 here. It is probably going to be signed for something really bad. North of I-80, we are in Mercer. We're meeting US 62, the great US 62. Fortunately, I am out of links, so I can't throw anything in there. We are concurrent with 62 for a short period of time, and we will be signed for Meadville coming out of that concurrency as we head left. We're going to be meeting US 6, the great US 6, along with 322. Two roads I've done episodes about that you can check out, but I'm out of links, and we are going to be joining with 322 and 6. On the way there, we meet I-79, once again signed for Erie and Pittsburgh. Two places will be, or were. We lose US 322, we've seen this sign a few times, and we will continue with US 6 East. This is on the way to Meadville. This is in Curltown, Pennsylvania. This is the PennDOT Road Sign Sculpture Garden, which looks pretty cool, and this was requested by Sargon.
Probably one of the few good things to come out of PennDOT, their artistic ability of creating cool places out of signs. Now they should do something with all their terrible control cities.
So thank you for that request. About 10 or 20 miles beyond Meadville, we're getting Erie as our final control city.
So he does not point this out, unless if he did it in the 6 video, but 6N is just basically like just a spur route of 6 that takes you up to US 20, which is stupid.
Here as we split from US 6. And our next mileage sign is Waterford and Erie. Here is I-90 itself, signed for Cleveland and Buffalo, so that's good signage. It's the one part of PA that does good signage on interstates. And I-90 signs US 19 as Waterford and for Peach Street in Erie. We're just south of Erie in the Erie suburbs. This is the Mill Creek Mall, requested by Mark Sheeg. And he requested that because he spent his entire childhood there, and it was a big draw for people coming from outside because there was no sales tax on clothing. So thank you so much for that request. We're on Peach Street, and that police cruiser right there basically represents the city line, and we will be in Erie following that.
That's also where Pennsylvania 99
end of
is.
US 19, we get an N19 sign, and this was requested by Trucker Geek because they are very odd reassurance shields, which I totally agree with. Those look really weird, kind of a mix of US Highway and Pennsylvania Highway sign.
Oh.
We officially end here at US 20. This was requested by Edwin Paskey because this
Acorn shields. That's also one of my funnier bits for the US 19 series. I have an entire warning sign saying, if you're allergic to nuts, please look away, as these are acorn shields coming up ahead.
This is his birthplace. Thank you for that request. I'll continue up Peach Street right through downtown Erie. We avoid another downtown by ending before we get to downtown. And this is one block over from Peach Street. We are at State Street, and that is Lake Erie there. I just thought we may as well get all the way to the water since we started the water in Bradenton, more or less. All right, let's take a look at Todd's the way it should be for US 19 northbound.
I'm gonna put a side-by-side picture of my way it should be and his, so you can compare the two and see if there's any difference between mine and his. Because I also did a way it should be for 19, or it's actually in the 19 southbound video, but I'll just be showing 19 northbound from that slide.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Control City Freak. I really appreciate it. It was a lot.
This definitely was a lot of fun. I miss doing these kind of videos. Maybe I should do another one someday on another road that we both covered to once again see the stuff that we both missed in both of our respective versions of this video. So with that, I'll see y'all next time as we're going to be doing the Air Shields video. So I'll see y'all then.